Hi, I'm Mitch, and welcome to the Restoration Road. Today, my good friend Marshall White stops by again to talk about the latest developments in his ministry in Unity with the Voices of Unity Choir and their most recent experiences through Carnegie Hall and on to the competition of the World Choir Games in Latvia. You are going to be blessed and inspired by Marshall, by Rebeca Soto, and by Jordan Applegate, who joined to share their experiences of the World Choir Games with Unity. Hi, I'm Mitch, and welcome to the Restoration Road. My guests today include the one and only Marshall White. Marshall, thank you for being here.
Mitch, how you doing? Good to be here.
Good to have you here again. And Rebeca Soto from Voices of Unity Choir. We're going to talk about all your talents. And Jordan Applegate. Jordan, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Mitch.
You've gone through the system, and now you're a mentor, and we want to talk about that. But Marshall, I'd like for you to describe the nucleus for you to create and lead Unity.
Well, first of all, the spark and inspiration came from working in the church for 20-something years and then working in the school system. I saw a void, a missing void, that we're not able to reach all children, and we were not having impact with more children outside of the circles of the church and outside of the circles of school. And so I was inspired by the Holy Spirit, gave me a vision that I call his vision, and spent 7 years writing it. Started in '93, and it was a concept to help develop young people, to help give young people a support system, to help develop their gifts, their abilities, and to help lead them into the path of righteousness as well as success so that they could have impact as well in their lives. And without the red tape or the boundaries, the impact would not have to suffer any blows from what I call structural or limited ministry. Mm-hmm. And so this is a really unlimited concept that you can reach as many children, you can go where you want to go with this, and that's the type of impact we're having in Fort Wayne.
And you worked on the vision for years, right?
7 years, and that 7 year, from 1993 to 2000 was a period of time where we just did research and we did study. I had a group of people working with me, but we wanted to create an inclusional type concept that would reach all children. We wanted to attract more African American kids and Hispanic kids to the arts, but even in the process, we also wanted to reach what I call non-minority children in the arts as well, because we had a youth development component that we mm-hmm. wanted to provide for all children. And we were able to accomplish that. And the amazing thing about that is that we have kids from 19 zip codes. We have 7 different racial groups in the program. And we have a diverse board, diverse staff, diverse parents. Everything is now, it looks like what heavens are going to be.
I was just going to say the same thing. It's just like heaven.
And that is absolutely amazing mm-hmm. to achieve that within the 14 years we've existed. Sure.
You grew up in the church.
Grew up, born and raised in the church, conceived in the church. So I know its influence. It has an incredible influence, especially in my culture. The church has a great influence. And I just wanted to add to that influence by providing something that would support that influence. Our organization is a support mechanism. It's a companion program. Mm-hmm. We come alongside the church, we come alongside the school, we come alongside the home to help that child become successful in every area of their life. So we're not a competitor to the church or to the school, we are a companion.
Mm-hmm. Your dad marched with Martin Luther King Jr., and you and your sisters have shared with me how growing up and during that time period wasn't always easy.
Yeah.
And with tensions the way they have been, in our country lately, it's almost like we're taking a couple steps backwards. It's sad. I think what you do is a solution to that because it has nothing to do with color. It's right. It's a multicultural thing. It's just like heaven, just like you said.
And we're going to always be faced with the challenges of racism and discrimination, and these are, to me, enemies to greatness. And any city, any country, any state that wants to achieve greatness has to fight the enemies of greatness. And those enemies are here. They were here when we got here. They will be here when we leave here. But yes, we want it to be a solution. And sometimes solutions are not received immediately simply because our society is more prone to the problem and not the solution. And so we find ourselves supporting the problem. And so when you come up with a solution, it's very difficult to get people to see solution-based ministry. But problematic ministry, they love it. They support it, they send money to it. But solution-based, we tend to push it to the side and say that's not really that important.
That is insightful. I think that's true.
Thank you.
That is really true. You took a group, Voices of Unity Choir, to the World Choir Games in China.
No, in China, 2010.
Yeah, and you won gold in what?
In gospel category and in the pop category. That was 2010.
And then you went to the games
in Cincinnati.
In
2012.
12 with Cincinnati. And what'd you do there?
We won gold and pop and gold in gospel.
And then in 2014, where'd you go and what happened?
We went to Riga, Latvia. I tell you, that was one of the most powerful events simply because 87 to basically almost 90% of the kids never been out of the country, never been on an airplane, and never went to the World Choir Games. So this was a whole nother group of kids that never experienced China, never experienced Cincinnati. And they were a young group. So for them to even win gold, and everyone they competed with was adults. So that's what made it so amazing to me that these kids were able to even get a gold medal in a category when all of their competitors were adults.
So gold in gospel, silver in pop. And that's the gold medal right there?
That's the gold medal.
Rebecca, what was that like for you?
An amazing experience. I thank God for it. I thank my family for allowing me, for my dad for working so hard, for giving me the money to go. And I don't deserve it, but, you know, glory to God that I went. It's amazing. It was amazing.
I want to unpack some of the stories I've heard about. And Jordan, I'd like you to tell your story of how you got connected with this ministry and what your life was like before, during, and you've decided to stay and pay it forward.
Yeah. So back in 2002, my family and I were actually attending a local church that Mr. White had stepped in and was kind of an interim role, helping out the worship and music ministry within the church. And
he's got to say where, because that was out of the box.
Yeah, it was a small church in New Haven, Grace Church in New Haven. So we were packed into the sanctuary. There was probably maybe 200 people in the church at that point, and Mr. White was about the only African-American gentleman in there, and he was leading from a keyboard, leading us into worship. Seeing the way that he carried himself musically, something just was turning inside of me like, man, I gotta meet this guy. And my parents just really loved the way that he was ministering to us, and connected with him, and it turned out he was 2 years into the vision of Unity at that point. So it was 2002, it launched in 2000, and he said, you know, hey, you do music, why don't you come and check out a rehearsal? And that's the beginning for everyone, I'll tell you that right now. If you step into a rehearsal, you're never gonna leave the organization. So came into a rehearsal, and I remember to this day, I still remember what I was wearing. I was wearing some gray hooded sweatshirt and just so scared, hands in my pocket, because he immediately, you know, introduced me to the choir and said, why don't you sing something for us? So that was about...
That's what you did to him?
Yeah. First time. Yeah.
So that was the first interaction. I did. I sang, and I was scared to death, but...
Do you remember what you sang?
I don't remember the exact song.
Had you...
Probably something that was popular at that time.
Had you sung solos prior to that?
Yeah, I had sang in school choirs and things like that, but there was nothing really that kind of kept me intrigued and enticed when it came to school choir. I mean, the regular choral music, it has its place, but it wasn't something that really excited me too much. And that's when I had met Mr. White and went to a concert, and met him at church that's like, what is this choir? What are they doing? This is nothing like I've ever seen at a school. So that was one of the main things that really drew me to it. Is it's something so much different than what you would get at school, but so welcoming, and just everything about the choir, even at that point, only 2 years into it, was just top notch and excellence. So,
you know, about that time, one of my daughters had a piano guild kind of thing, you know, at IPFW. And we're not allowed to go in, and I'm standing in the hallway, and I hear the most amazing sound I think I've ever heard in my life. It was like Sister Act was right there, you know. And I start following the sounds. And I walked in on one of those rehearsals and just couldn't believe what I saw. It was just incredible, and what I heard. It was just amazing. I know exactly what you're talking about. How old would you have been then, or what?
I was 14 years old when I joined the choir, so I'm now 27, so just over 13 years that I've been connected with the organization at this point.
So we hear a story like that, and we think it's just about singing, you know, but it's not.
No.
You teach 20?
20 prescriptions. Character building tools we use to help shape and develop the person. And the talent is our secondary focus. The person is our primary focus.
Say that again?
The talent is our secondary focus. The person is our primary focus.
So
to build character in our young people, to shape and develop their natural talents. So that's secondary. And then we use the soulful art forms to do that. And then our whole focus is to set a positive and real example of unity for our young people. Because this is the generation that helps to eradicate the overwhelming separatism and all of the things that exist in the church and schools and education and religion and in politics. This generation can change that simply by being an example of true unity.
Before we get to Latvia and these latest games, Rebeca, I'd like you to talk a little bit about your spiritual development, on how Christ met you where you were.
I went to church one day, and I was quiet, you know, I'm in the back, not really like lifting my hands or anything else. And I just felt like I wanted something more, and so I prayed out to God, God, do you hear me? Like I want more of you. So I want to be happy, and I know I can't find happiness in boyfriends. I can't have happiness in friends. It's just, you have to seek Christ. So I seeked him. You know, when you knock, he answers. It's amazing, and I fell in love with him, and I want to fall in love with him even more.
That's powerful.
And she's completely real about this. And their relationship with Christ, even though we're not a religious organization, we nurture it. And they'll all tell you, I mean, we nurture that relationship from the perspective of watering it, cultivating it, challenging them to dig deeper. And they'll tell you, we help them. It's not about church, it's about relationship. And we help them understand that if you get a relationship that's deep and you don't have any distractions from that relationship, and you develop that first, then you can go off into ministry and church and all that. But if you don't get a relationship established, the church can be a distraction from that.
Yeah, you're not a religious organization, you're a relational organization.
We're a relationship. And we cultivate, again, we come alongside the church and help to cultivate those things that the church practice and promote. And that's, to me, is what's needed in 21st century nonprofit youth programs now. You have to have companions that are helping us with the kids, because the kids today have what I call weapons of mass distraction.
That's exactly what it is. That's excellent. Excellent. Now, you grew up in a Christian home, right?
Yeah, sure did.
So connecting with the 20 prescriptions kind of helped develop your relationship with Christ and helped you, I guess, be discipled and then want to disciple others?
Yeah, I mean, growing up in a Christian home, Jesus was always at the center and the forefront of every relationship within our family and that we tried to have with other people. But through an organization like like Unity and the Voices of Unity that just expects excellence and the utmost discipline out of each member. That really, as he's saying, it really cultivates things that pour over into every single area of life. And specifically in my walk with Christ and in the spiritual side of my life, I mean, it's necessary to have discipline, to dig into the Word, to spend time in prayer, and really seek out God's path for you and His purpose for you in your life. And through the discipline and all the other life lessons and things that I've learned through Voices of Unity now, 13 years later, I can look back and see that has just completely impacted my life to really set me on the right direction as far as finding my purpose that God has for me. I mean, purpose, discipline, professionalism, excellence is almost in every single life lesson that Mr. White teaches since 2002 all the way up to now. And I can say that that's been just a complete and huge driving force in me getting to where I am, both professionally, personally, and spiritually in my life today.
I believe that Jesus' model is that you make disciples who make disciples. And so that's what I love about your part of this story, is that you were a disciple and you're making disciples now with mentoring, coaching, inspiring, teaching, everything that you're doing, chaperoning, and just in there with them. Before anyone could go to Latvia, they had to memorize the 20 prescriptions in English and Spanish?
The foundational statements, the mission, the focus, the core values, the 9 components of excellence, the pledge, and the personal motto in Spanish. The 20 prescriptions was a requirement in Spanish, but if you got 10, you were fine. And then they had to learn the introduction. So the introduction is about, 4 or 5 paragraphs introducing the program. You stand in front of the people and you introduce the entire program. And they had to all memorize that. Nobody could go on the trip without being able to talk about what Unity is.
And how many went?
We took 54 kids to New York plus adults, so it was like 84 people. And then we took 53 people, 37 kids to Riga.
Okay. Now.
And the youngest was 8 years old.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Oh, yes. And everything I just said, the youngest child.
Well, that would be a motivation to be that you could get it done.
Yeah.
So, Rebecca, you had to learn these things, right?
Yes, I did.
And can you prove to us on a sample testing right now that you've learned some of those?
To build character in our young people, to shape and develop their natural talents, to promote the soulful art forms through performances and educational activities, to set a positive and real example of unity for our young people.
Now do it in Spanish.
En edificar carácter en nuestros jóvenes, formar y desarrollar sus talentos naturales, promover las formas de arte de alma por medio de actuaciones y actividades educativas, poner el ejemplo positivo y real para nuestros jóvenes.
Mucho gracias.
Sí.
That's impressive. That is impressive, Marshall, and they all learned it.
All of them.
Well, tell us what it was like. You land in Latvia, what happened?
Well, let's start with the first trip was New York, Carnegie Hall.
Oh, yes.
I mean, Carnegie Hall, the kids had to learn 3 languages material for the Carnegie Hall performance. Plus, they had 16 choirs from all over the country. We were the only choir from Indiana. And we were selected to perform our own piece by ourselves. So we got a chance to perform to the entire audience our own piece, and that was very phenomenal.
Are the acoustics everything that they say they are?
Everything. I was on the grand piano and no microphones nowhere. It was unbelievable, wasn't it?
That's incredible.
Special. It was very special. And that moment was very special because of the historical concepts behind that, or the context where all of these different minds and great people were on that stage. So to share that stage was an unbelievable feeling.
So you performed at Carnegie Hall
in
June.
And then in July we went to Riga. And in Riga, the kids got a chance to become ambassadors. I mean, they were true ambassadors of our country, of our state, of our city. Choirs were standing in line to take pictures with them. I remember one story where the Russian kids came up to them, the Russian choir, and was asking our choir do you guys hate us? Do you hate Russia? And our choir members were like, no, we don't hate you guys. And they all started hugging and taking pictures together. And I mean, we have a little over 52 countries on our Facebook.
52
countries that have hit our Facebook from all over the world.
What an international impact. I think it was day 3. Did you do a friendship concert?
Yeah.
And I'd like you to talk about what happened there, both culturally and then what your performance was and that led to that.
Well, they performed there. We had, I think, a 15-minute, 20-minute set in the friendship concert. We performed. The people were crying from Latvia, and we went off the stage. A North Korea choir asked, can we take pictures with you guys? And so we stood up and took pictures with them. About 20 minutes, we hung out, taking pictures with some of the choir members. And then the MC comes up to us and asks us, is it possible you guys can do another set? Because one of the choirs cannot be here and we need to fill the time. Well, when they got up to announce that the American choir was going to come back and do a set, the people were screaming, yes, yes, yes. Got back up. One of the ladies got up and said,
yeah, that's making you feel pretty special.
Yeah, I mean, that does everything that you need for kids. Mm-hmm. But one of the ladies got up from Riga and said that the spirit that comes from these kids, our country, Europe, needs more of this. She said that on video, and you saw that on the Facebook. It was the most powerful statement ever. Mm-hmm. But they all recognized that the Voices of Unity had a unique spirit in their singing. And it wasn't just technique alone, but it was soul, it was spirit, it was something that connected with the person.
A spirit of joy.
Yes.
And I read where culturally that is really unique, that somebody from Latvia would actually come up to you and compliment you the way they were complimenting all the kids.
They have this culture of laid back. It's laid back, they don't really say much, they don't talk much. And even to get the response we got from them, we were shocked. Our tour manager told us that, a tour guide, that she's been in Latvia all of her life, and she's never seen that kind of response to choral music that they're not accustomed to. So we had great favor and impact there, and I thank God for that. I mean, to know that God is using this concept to not only promote his agenda, but also to even give us all a tad bit of what it's going to be like when we leave here. I mean, just to be a part of something was 490 choirs.
Look how thick that is.
And 89 countries. That in one event, one environment, you're surrounded by people from all over the world. That you can't pay for that. I mean, that's an experience that these kids will never forget.
I bet you pray a lot during those competitions.
We did. We had a breakthrough when one of our rehearsals there in Riga, where the Holy Spirit really actually came in the rehearsal, and people were the choir was just gone, tears. All of them. It was.
Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a breakthrough.
Our tour guide actually got to witness that, and speaking to her. After that fact, she said, you know, I knew about God, but I've never, ever experienced God from what I saw and what I felt when I was in that rehearsal. And I don't think she could verbalize or really understand what happened, but she has stayed in contact, and she actually recently posted something on the Facebook wall and tagged a bunch of people in it about, like, what you guys did when you were over here and the impression you left on me. I know I now have a relationship with God. I now know that there is a true and living God. So, I mean,
it's a holy moment. And you know that you didn't do it. God did it all and you were part of it.
That's right.
It's just incredible. But you were faithful and obedient to your call. I'm just curious, how does it work? You let's say the gospel category where you won the gold, you get up and you sing your songs, and how do you know that you're going to be gold? You know, what transpired?
You don't know, because you got 7, 8, 9 judges from all over the world. I mean, the judges are from Sweden, Russia, you name it. So you don't know how they're going to score you. This is a life-changing concept, and I am just so incredibly thankful to the donors. Some of our major donors were Chuck Shurak, Tim Ash, Parkview, English Bonner Mitchell. These are people who believed in what we're trying to do beyond the singing, and they stepped up and gave major dollars to make sure these kids went. It's unbelievable. And we love these people and thank God for them in their lives.
That's awesome. Rebecca, do you remember what it was like and what you felt like when they announced that you won the gold?
I just looked at the big screen. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Like, Lord, thank you so much for this opportunity. Without you, like, I wouldn't have been here. And so it's just a big blessing. And I walked up when we got the silver, and it was surprising.
That's in pop?
Yes, in pop. It was surprising because I thought, we were going to get a gold, but I said, Lord, it's all right. We gave our best, and so I walked up there, and we took a picture with the American flag, and what happened, we had to learn, this was a lesson, and next time we'll give our best. I just thank God for this opportunity. I really don't care about the silver, and it wasn't about that. It wasn't about this. It was about the experience.
Did you get the silver before the gold?
No, we got the gold first.
Gold first. I see. So I can see what would have been in your mind. Rebecca, Marshall, Jordan, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing.
Can I say something before you leave?
Yes.
This young man is a recording artist now.
What?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
He's not going to get away without singing.
Yeah, he's got something being released right now.
Can you give us a sample? It can either be from that or
yeah,
it can be a hymn,
sample.
whatever you want.
Sure.
This wasn't planned, right?
Oh,
this
no,
is
this
off
not
the
planned.
cuff.
Yeah. Before the earth began, you had me in your care, created to be loved. My purpose is in you for everything, absolutely everything, above and below. Its purpose you know, the visible and invisible. Everything was started in you. I found my purpose in you. Jesus, created to worship you forever.
Oh my goodness. Was he that good when you had him at 14 years old?
No.